So I'm gonna get this out of the way early, and that is that CM Punk apparently worked with ESPN on what has been called a polarizing interview, and he spoke about a lot of things having to do with his previous run. Nothing that was said was derogatory against AEW or violated the agreement that he had with the promotion, but a lot of it was inflammatory against Hangman Adam Page, especially regarding their Double or Nothing match last year. And, it's backed up by the fact that Page was spoken to previously, about being too stiff in the ring. And I'm just going to say that there's a difference between being stiff and being believable. And they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. I'm not saying that Adam Page is stiff. I'm not saying that Adam Page is not believable. I'm not saying anything against Adam Page. But I'm just saying that what Punk said is not unfounded because other people have spoken to him about it. Arn Anderson spoke to him about it last year. And he has been told on more than one occasion to basically loosen up in the ring. Yes, another news, Cultaholic.com, the guys down at Cultaholic did put up a good point that Hangman did spend a decent amount of time in Japan, so he could have adopted some realm of puresu to his style. And, for those who may not be aware, puresu is a little bit more stiff than the American style of in-ring competition. And basically, in my opinion, what Punk could have been describing, number one, honestly, could be a little bit of inexperience on the part of Hangman Page, because before AEW, Page was never really featured in a high-ranking position, and it just may have been the pressure of being in a position with somebody like Punk getting to Hangman Page, but also it could have been a clash of styles. Because Punk is more the technician, I would say, and not necessarily a brawler, or not necessarily somebody that really connects with brawlers all that well. And not to say that he doesn't connect with anybody, but he's not a match made in heaven with everybody, I guess is the best way to put it, because just look at his WWE run. There were some people that I'm sure had expectations that, Punk would have a good match with this person or that person, and it ended up not being the best. But, I didn't want to spend a lot of time or provide a lot of build-up to this, and I think for lack of a better word, this interview should have been done at a different time, because if it provides any bit of negativity toward Punk and his run at AEW or his return to AEW, then the fact of the matter is that's AEW's mistake for doing the interview now and not sooner. Because AEW knew about this interview. AEW planned the interview as promotion for AEW Collision, and the fact of the matter is, I think Punk did not think that he said anything wrong or did anything wrong, and it's legitimately possible that he didn't. It's legitimately possible that everything he said was just his opinion, and Punk is entitled to his opinion, for lack of a better word, within reason. And considering the fact that he did not say anything inflammatory towards AEW, and that was the rule, I can't say that he did anything wrong. And also, Punk has always been somebody who has a certain style and flair about himself, and if Hangman does not hit that style, maybe it's just possible that Punk and Hangman just don't get along. I'm not saying that everybody has to get along with CM Punk, or even I'm not saying everybody has to get along with Hangman. But to say that, like, it's going to lead to a situation where people can't work together, or certain people can only work one show and other people can work the other show, etc., etc. You're grown adults and you can't work it out. Like, agree to disagree. You're grown adults and you can't work in the same bill. It's like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think it's just in a different company, I don't think the situation would have gotten to this proportion. Hell, in a different company, I don't think the situation would have even happened because they wouldn't have allowed it to. But that's just me. Am I looking for, does this change the fact that I'm not looking forward to Collision and seeing CM Punk back in AEW? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm looking forward to seeing Punk back in AEW. I'm looking forward to Collision tomorrow night, and I'm looking forward to Punk potentially doing something down the road with his former buddy, our former rival, Samoa Joe. I'm honestly looking forward to it because I think it would be a nice change of pace, and it would also give Punk somebody to work with. It would give Punk somebody to work with that is not among the AEW faithful, that being the Samoan submission machine. Should Punk be a part of Forbidden Door? My honest answer is no, because he's just coming back a week before, and honestly, I think Punk should be more of a bit of an attraction, at least for the outset, as opposed to somebody that you can expect to see every single solitary week. Not a Brock Lesnar type of attraction, but not there every single solitary week. But now let's shift over and shift gears to something else that is not relating to CM Punk. But again, AEW Collision opens up tomorrow night, June 17th. AEW Collision, we will do the preview and predictions for the event before Collision. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. But let's jump in and let's talk about Thunder Rosa potentially returning to AEW, as Thunder Rosa said that she is hopeful to be returning sooner rather than later to AEW, but there is no update on an official date or time for her to return. All we know is that Thunder Rosa would love to return to the ring sooner rather than later. And speaking of returning to the ring, Kofi Kingston should be back soon, as he is ahead of schedule with his ankle surgery, or recovering from his ankle surgery from an injury sustained earlier this year. So that is also positive. Hearing that Kofi Kingston should be coming back sooner rather than later. But now we shift over as a bit of interesting news that according to PW Mania and the Wrestling Observer, Bianca Belair and the Street Profits are among the stars that could be turning heel sooner rather than later. As, I mean, honestly, Bianca Belair has been a heel a babyface for the better part of the last, 2 years? 3 years? Since she got called up, I'm pretty sure, since the pandemic. So maybe going on 4 years, she's been a babyface. So I would say she needs a shake-up to become a heel. And also, the Street Profits could use a shake-up too, as far as becoming heels. And just, especially with the fact that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are the top tag team. The Usos, if they stay together, are going to be a top tag team. And you gotta, basically what I'm saying is, the baby faces are far outweighing the heels, and they need more heels in the tag team division. So it makes sense. But also, I just want to point out that basically, tonight on SmackDown, which I know it's rare for us to do, but tonight on SmackDown, it will be the night when Jey Uso makes his decision of whose side is he on. Is he on the side of the bloodline, or is he on the side of his brother Jimmy? Especially after basically telling Paul Heyman to resign from the bloodline. Whose side is he on, and what's going to happen tonight on SmackDown? I think it's going to be an interesting turn of events as the Hollywood story that has been the bloodline continues to develop within WWE. And it's going to be interesting and something that I'm sure a lot of us are going to be keeping our eyes on tonight on SmackDown. Now we shift over to an interesting bit of news, as WWE is said to be interested in Taz's son, Hook. As Hook has been somebody that has been highly thought of and looked at as a top prospect in AEW since the start of his run in AEW as a part of Team Taz. But, you know, much like most of Team Taz, as outside of maybe Ricky Starks, Hook has sort of underwhelmed in the last couple of months and really not lived up to expectations, per se, because, you know, he's just, outside of a semi-successful tag team with Jungle Boy, he's not really done much. You know, he's not really done much, and it's kind of a shame, to be honest with you. It's kind of a shame because you would expect him to do some more. You would expect him to do more, and the fact that he hasn't done much, it's kind of like AEW's missing the boat and missing an opportunity. Sort of like they are with, or sort of like a lot of people believe they are with Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow, and, you know, the list continues to develop, but, you know, there's a lot of people on the list, but both, Taz actually wants his son to make the move to WWE as a way to gain experience, and also apparently Triple H and Heartbreak Kid are said to be very interested in bringing Hook into WWE. There is no word, though, now on Hook's contract status within AEW or when his contract could expire, but the fact of the matter is, Hook in WWE, I think that would be a welcome change and something that maybe would help elevate Hook to the next level. Before we go, I just want to mention an update on The Elite and Hangman Page, as AEW is said to, from people in the know, it is said that AEW is more than likely going to re-sign The Elite and Hangman Page. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. With that being said, though, that is it for me, and I will see you in the next news video.